Hi everyone, so this is programming assignment 4 or the milestone 1 for GAM for 575, and the first thing that I want to show is the model converter that I created from the previous assignment PA3. So if I run the batch file, well actually let's just take a look at the batch file really quick. If you take a look at the batch file, it runs model converter.exe and it takes the FBX model, and then it creates a package, a custom package.spu, and it saves all of that into a text file called spacefrigate.txt, and then it does this for each of the other 5 models, and then it pauses and waits for a command. So if I run this batch file, so it just did Space Frigate, it's doing Astro Boy right now, and now it's doing the buggy, and it did the buggy, and now it's working, I think, on the Geth Trooper or the Warbear, and then the Geth Trooper package. And then once that's done, it'll let me know, and it's done. So as you can see, it populated the directory with text files that go and show out the output from the model converter executable, and it basically gives you the data of the vertices, including the vertex, the UV coordinates, and the normals, and the triangle list. And just for added security, I also put in another feature where it just tells you the size of the chunks and the chunks that are created, and these chunks are packaged into this .spu file, and this .spu file is read from the game engine. And here I have the game engine, and in my custom model class, so I have custom model, and I have it so that it's writing to a file, so that's going to read the data, and I have a function called read, a private function called read spu. Yeah, here it is. So priv read spu, it takes in the file name, and and this is the file name that it's going to be saved as. It's going to be saved as an Azul. So let me go to my game screen right here, and I'll show you actually where it's done. So here I'm setting up the cameras, and then I'm creating the custom models, and here I'm creating a file called spacefrigate.azul, and this is where it's going to be read from. Space Frigate, that's the name of the file, and then the package, it finds the package, and it's located in model converter astroboy.package. So in our custom model class, it gets that file, the file name, and then it first it gets the data from the package, and then it reads the verts, and it saves this into this global array that holds the vertices and the triangle index. Okay, so yeah, it takes in that data, and then it checks to see if the data is correct. And this is just for my sanity, just to read it in. And then I do the same thing for the triangle list, and I'm having it so that it's read in clockwise, and I change this in the model converter where it takes in counterclockwise winding and converts it to a clockwise winding. So I don't really have to change anything here, because the game engine uses clockwise winding. And then again it checks, and then it reads the texture file, and then it does the same thing. It opens the file, it reads the chunk header, and then it puts it into a buffer, and then it deletes the buffer. And at this stage, it adds the file. It creates the TGA. Yeah. So in my game screen right here, if I could find it. So yeah, and then when it comes to here, after I created the models, it adds I create the shaders, and then I add the textures, and it finds in my source directory the file that I just unloaded, and it's in the source, and then it finds the name of the file, and then it creates it and adds it to the texture manager. And these are the specific shaders that I'm going to be using for my scene. And then so let me just run the scene really quick. All right. Now it's building it. So as you can see here, I have this first overview camera, the camera frustum camera, which moves this camera frustum model, and then I have an overview and a from the front. So if you press G, you can actually toggle between each of the objects. So if I go to the first object, it's going to the Geth that's using a point light shader, and I'm rotating around it, and I'm zooming in. Yeah, and that's one of them. And if you press B, you can actually turn on the bounding sphere for that. You can see the bounding sphere. And if I go to the next one, this one's scaled down a bit, and it's using the constant color light shader. And this is the big wireframe one that's using constant color, and again B, turning it on. And this is a rotating same one, but I kind of skewed it. And if I turn on the bounding sphere, you can kind of see that it's kind of skewed too, because I changed the scale of it. And this is one with the default texture, the bear, and I can change the texture by pressing T, so it'll cycle between every single thing. And on a side note, you can see which currently selected item you have in the console window. So as I'm pressing T, I can go through each one. Let's just go back to it. Then B again, bounding sphere. G, this is the buggy. I'm turning on the bounding sphere for that. And then going to the next one, this is the Astro Boy. Oh, I went back. And this is the Space Frigate. Again, turning B. This is another one of the Space Frigates using the constant color light shader. B again, turning it on. This is the wireframe, and this is the color shader, and it's also rotating. And then I go back to this. Now, a cool thing to note, if we look over here, you can kind of see the frustum pointing to the right. I can change it so that I'm pointing maybe from this angle, and then now you'll see that the frustum model has changed. Next steps that I need to implement is so that if the items are within the frustum, within the camera 2's frustum, then like they should not be able to be rendered, and that is something that I'm going to be working on, and maybe even have a possible linked video to this one just to show it off. But as for PA4 assignment milestone 1, that is all we had to do. So again, just easily loading each of the models, having the bounding spheres, having the default textures, instancing several of the objects, and instancing several of them, and showing them off in this model viewer. Well, hopefully that does it. I don't want to go too long on this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates to this game engine. Thanks.